Hi, I'm John Corvino. Over the years, I've spoken at over 200 campuses on gay and lesbian issues, and people have often tried to ask me a question. And I say try to ask me the question because typically it comes out in this uncomfortable and garbled way. They'll say, but what about when two men and, with two men, there are two of them and so I'll interrupt them and say, let me guess, you're trying to ask me about anal sex. So, oh my God, he said anal sex, arrest him! People get all excited and uncomfortable, and I think I know what's going on here. When people think about homosexuality, they almost automatically think about male homosexuality. When they think about male homosexuality, they almost automatically think about anal sex. And when they think about anal sex, they think it's weird and icky and dangerous. And so I realize if I'm going to address people's actual objections, if I'm going to get to the bottom of this, so to speak, I'm going to have to talk about anal sex. So the first thing to keep in mind is that an argument against anal sex is not the same thing as an argument against homosexuality, because not all gay people engage in anal sex, and not only gay people engage in anal sex. This is something that a lot of people seem to miss. There's this great story about when Congress was debating sodomy laws, and many of these laws applied to both straight sex and gay sex, and applied to both anal sex and oral sex. And somebody pointed out, straight people do these things too. And Strom Thurmond, who was a senator from South Carolina, he was about 90 years old at the time, he actually stood up and said, "No, they don't!" And suddenly I understood why that man was so cranky. Look, secondly, there's nothing inherently wrong with anal sex. Like any sexual act, it can be done in safer and less safe ways. If you want to be perfectly safe, don't have sex, don't leave the house, don't go up the stairs. But if you are going to be sexually active, there are steps you can take to make sex safer. At the same time, it's important to remember that there are a lot of other things that gay people can do. There's kissing, there's stroking, there's oral sex, there's mutual masturbation. You get the idea. And yet none of this addresses the sort of underlying concern of, but all that gay sex is just weird and icky. Except it's not gay sex that's weird and icky. It's sex. All sex. I mean, there's a reason people refer to sex as doing the nasty. I want you to think back to the first time you ever heard about sex. I remember my parents gave me this book, Where Do Babies Come From? It was about 3 years ago. No, seriously, my parents gave me this book, and I was reading through it, and I get to this one page, and I think, you're supposed to put what, where, and do what with it? And it wasn't just because I was a little gay kid. Sex is strange. I mean, you've got two people, they get naked, they rub up and down, they exchange bodily fluids. Who thought of that? And then you get older and you try it, you think, hey, whoever thought of that deserves a raise. But in the abstract, it's strange. Or forget about sex for a minute. Think about kissing. You want to take your mouth, which you use for eating, and press it against another mouth and touch tongues. Why? And then you get older and you try it and you get it. So ultimately what I think we're seeing here is a failure of empathy. People have this reaction of, that's just weird, and then they elevate that's just weird into that's unnatural, and they elevate that's unnatural into that's wrong. And they don't step back and recognize that gay people's sexual lives, just like straight people's sexual lives, are messy and exciting and frightening and wonderful in various ways. If we're going to have a mature conversation about these issues, it's time for us to recognize that human relationships in all of their beauty and complexity should not be reduced to a sex act.